Hey everyone, welcome back again to With Purpose. I am excited you're here. My name is Ben Hutton, and here on With Purpose, we do a little planning. We think about what we have coming up in the weeks ahead, and we make sure we are allocating our time and our attention to the right things, and we do it with purpose. But before that, we learn a little bit together. And this week, we are going to be learning about buffaloes. So I got my buffalo here. I got my mug. Actually, this morning, one of my friends, Shelly, gave me this mug, and it was very serendipitous because I knew that we'd be talking about this today. So pretty awesome. Thank you, Shelly. So, buffaloes. This sculpture that I have here, I'll hold it up so you can kind of see it a little bit. Yeah. This was done by a guy named Santiago. Santiago is a carpenter and has worked for our company for more than 2 decades. He is an amazing person, an amazing craftsman, amazing father and husband, and he is an amazing artist. And so in his free time, Santiago does the sculpture work, and then he also sketches. So if you wander through one of our job sites, sometimes you'll see on the back of a piece of drywall some sketches that are just incredible. That's Santiago's work. So anyway, back to buffaloes. Something that most people don't know about buffaloes is how they handle storms. So here in Kansas, it's common to be driving through the Flint Hills or through the open plains of Kansas and see herds of cows or herds of buffaloes out on the open prairie. And from a distance, sometimes they look a little bit similar. When you get up close, of course, very different animals. And they handle adversity or conflict a little bit differently, too. So when a big storm rolls through the plains of Kansas, one that you can see from miles and miles away comes towards them, cows, the way they react to that is they start running away. They know that an unpleasant experience is about to be upon them, and they don't want to be in that. So when the storm comes, the cows will move as far away from it as they can. And so you'll see them like grouped up in the corner of a field right against the fence trying to get away from this storm. And by doing that, they're actually sometimes even prolonging the time that they have to experience a storm. So if it rolls in and then they're moving the same direction as the storm, longer time in the storm, right? Buffaloes are different. Buffaloes know that if they move in the opposite direction of the storm, if they charge into it and then through it, the time that they have to experience the discomfort that comes along with that wind and the rain is actually shortened. And so cows run away from it, buffaloes run through the storm. I love this picture. I love this picture in terms of leadership and how we deal with conflict, because we know as leaders that we are going to have storms and conflict that come our way, and how we deal with that can make all of the difference in the world. It's tempting to want to be like our cow friends and try and avoid it, right? So we might tiptoe around a certain person in the office, avoid going to the meeting, not want to answer an email or return a phone call that comes in that we know is going to be a little bit adversarial. And so we avoid things. All that does is prolong the time that we are going to be in conflict or in the middle of this storm. Instead of that, we want to be like a buffalo. We want to handle conflict or adversity just like buffaloes do. So we see something coming. When we see a storm headed our way, instead of running away and avoiding it, we want to turn towards it and charge full steam ahead into it. This is the way that we shorten the time that conflict occurs, and we get through it. We face it head on. And so what's that look like for you? What's that look like in your role? How can you be a buffalo instead of a cow? Okay, so that's the lesson for today. Handle conflict like a buffalo. A lot of wisdom in just this simple picture. So now let's move into our time of planning. As a reminder, on our website, linked in the show notes, there's a planner that goes along with each of these episodes. You can use that to think through your next week ahead, jot down what you need to focus on, as well as answer these 2 questions that I have coming up. But before we get to that, we're going to start where we always start, with gratitude. Just recently I was on another podcast with a guy here in town named Adam, who has a podcast about living or building your legacy. And we talked all about gratitude. So we'll link that below in the show notes for you to maybe listen to this coming week. So what are you grateful for from this past week? Take a minute just to think about that. All right, so next up, we all have those things that we've been putting off, the conflict that we need to just charge head on into. So write those things down here. Make a commitment to get them done. Maybe decide what the first step is so that you can just dive right into it. Okay, so the first question for you to ponder this week as you think about how to handle conflict like a buffalo is, how do you handle conflict normally? This is a time for you to be honest with yourself and write down just your thoughts. Do you try and avoid it? Do you try and avoid it with certain people? Take a minute and just have a little bit of time of introspection here. Okay, and second question for today. What are the storms that you see brewing on the horizon that you can anticipate you're going to need to run towards? For me, I have a couple things inside of our organization that I can just tell are going to need me to intervene in. And instead of waiting, I should just do that now. What are those for you? All right, so that is it for this episode of With Purpose. I hope it has been a good one from you. Maybe if you learned something, you'd be willing to share it with a friend. We are trying to grow the audience of With Purpose because we believe we're talking about important things here. And the more people hear about it, the better off we will all be. Thanks, friends.